Well, welcome to a special edition of the Richmond Register Sports Show. My name is Nathan Hutchinson. I'm the sports editor of the Richmond Register. And it's that time of year again, Carl.
It is.
Just last week we had the announcement for the fourth class of the Madison County Sports Hall of Fame. You're the chairman of that organization. So,
Correct.
So we're happy to have you here to give us a
Thank
little
you.
more in-depth look at the field. We've done this with you before. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so we're back here again. Well, the May 17th at the Perkins Building. Will be the induction ceremony this year. Tickets are not on sale yet, but they will be.
March 15th. I just talked to Jack before he came in. So
Okay.
March 15th.
And if you go to the website and go ahead and get those, most of the time, the 3 years, I think it's sold out every 3 years.
Yeah,
They're pretty close.
we've had 280 to 300 people. They can also drop by the Richmond Area Arts Center down there on the corner of Lancaster and Water, and between 9 and 2 if they want to grab their own physical ticket. So either way, website or visit.
They go quick though, folks. So
Yeah.
if you want to go, and a lot of folks going in this year. We got 9 individuals, 6 special teams. That's going to bump the number up to I think 37 individuals now, 15 teams.
That's right.
And I got to say, me and you and Randy were just sitting here talking. You guys do a great job of crossing eras, different sports, all the different teams, different schools represented. You've got players, coaches, all kinds of stuff. We got some people this year that are from some sports that we've never had before.
Right.
So I think you guys do a great job. And talk a little bit about just the nominating process
Okay.
and the voting process and how you guys go about things.
I appreciate that. We have about 70 nominations that have come in, and we'll replenish that next spring or next winter. And sometimes we have a few more, but we do try to make sure all the schools are involved as much as we can. And we do go outside the box a little bit with folks that maybe haven't coached but are still a sports figure in the county. I know last year we put in Phyllis Adams, who's very prominent with Little League Baseball, and we were glad to do that. And then we've got a couple this year that we'll talk about later.
Yeah. All right, you just want to dive right into it?
Sure.
We're going to go in alphabetical order here, so we don't want anybody to think we're doing preferential treatment for anybody. But a guy who was a great shortstop back in the day, a great baseball player at Madison Central, and then had a long career as a coach at a lot of different schools here in Madison County, and that's Tony Cox.
Tony Cox was not only an outstanding player, he's an outstanding person. He's one of my favorite people, but still lives in the county. Played from 61 to 64 at Madison Central, and they had some really good teams. Went to the state finals a couple of years. Never won it, but they had some very good players. And he was good enough that he was signed out of high school by the Philadelphia Phillies organization and went to Spartanburg, South Carolina for a couple of seasons. Then he came back home, and he actually went to served in the Vietnam War. And then after that, he started his coaching career. But I think I counted that he's been at 7 different teams, schools or teams around the county coaching.
Yeah. There's a basketball at Madison Southern, and then the last couple of years at Model, he took over, I think, 03 and 04 at Model, too.
Yeah, that was a special season. Benny Roop and Tony took that team, and they had a winning season. And, of course, in our district, Madison Central is so heavily talented, it's hard to get out. But they had a good year, maybe 18 and 6 or something.
Yeah.
So, he knows how to coach the game, and he ended up as I was reading his bio, ended up at Berea College as an assistant in baseball and basketball. But we're glad that Tony's going to go in this year.
Yeah, I remember him for that orange jacket he used to wear when he was the coach at Southern. So. All right, moving along to someone that if you've been around Madison County sports at all for the last 20, 30 years, you obviously know Marquise Estel, one of the, I guess, only 2 Gatorade Players of the Year from Madison Central. I guess Dominique was as well.
That's right.
A great career, went on the University of Kentucky, and I guess played overseas a little bit too.
Yeah, he certainly had a fine career in high school. 6'9", played 95 to 98, and then played 2 seasons with UK. Went in the draft, and as you said, didn't get drafted, but he played overseas 3 or 4 years. Then he ended up being a coach at Dunbar, and I think he was an assistant at Georgetown College and Midway University. So he's been a player and a coach, but he's quite a player. I remember him in his days mostly at Madison Central. He's a very dominant player. As you mentioned, the Gatorade Player of the Year, which is very hard to attain, but Dominique's certainly well worthy of this award.
Yeah, I guess the '99 team won the 11th region, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's that was the first one Allen won, right? That's the first
I
one?
believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we was talking about thinking outside the box a little bit, and this one definitely was, but someone certainly worthy. Someone I'm not personally familiar with, but Rufus Harris, the 1993 National Horseshoe Pitching Senior Champion.
Rufus was an outstanding person and heavily involved around Richmond with Little League. And his son Terry was a very good basketball player in the mid-'60s at Madison High. And his daughter Jane is married to our former judge Bill Klaus, so he has some history with the county. But yeah, he went. He started off running. He was in the Marine Corps marathon at age 65, and that kind of got his juices flowing. And he found horseshoes, and he started competing, won the state. Then he won his division, the national championship. They have a couple of awards statewide named after him. So very deserving, a little bit outside the box, as you said, but we're glad that he's going in.
Yeah, and actually, there's quite a horseshoe pitching community here in Madison County and in Central Kentucky.
There is.
Quite a thing.
Yeah, it's a different sport, but as you mentioned, it's well played throughout the county.
Yeah. Well, a lady that we saw put into the Model Athletic Hall of Fame a couple years ago is now going into the Madison County Sports Hall of Fame. That's Peggy Sawfeld-Harris, a three-time All-American swimmer over there, and just part of that great tradition of swimming and diving over there at Model, going back to the Lichties and the Cahills and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we put Beverly Acker in, who's an outstanding swimmer, and then Peggy is going in this year. Went on and played at the swam at the University of Tennessee after model days. But one of the things that I thought was impressive was some of her state records were stated current for 15 years. That's quite an accomplishment. You would think somebody would have come up and snapped that. But she's a very excellent swimmer, and so she'll be coming back, and we're glad to honor her.
Yeah, we're talking some more swimming here in a minute too, but we'll get to that in a minute. And we'll move on to some track and field and Berea community represented here with Mary Schauber Parker, and going back to '79 where she was a Class A cross country champion. I guess not track and field, cross country, and then went on to Ohio State.
Right, she was excellent in her high school days, and then went ahead and competed at Ohio State, and she wanted to get in the, I guess you'd say, be a doctor, and she ended up being a doctor. And one thing I thought was interesting, she was on the recovery team for the 9/11 Pentagon crash when the plane came in, but she ended up as a colonel in the U.S. Army, so that's another outstanding facet of her career. But we're happy that she went in, and her family will be represented. Mary has passed away.
Okay. All right. Now, someone who coached around this area for the better part of half a decade, Frankie Ray. I mean, he's coached about every sport, about everywhere you can coach at, I think.
Yeah, Frankie's a special person. Everybody that knows him loves him. He involved in just so many things. Started off at Kirksville Junior High down in Kirksville, Kentucky, as the basketball and baseball coach. Then he went to Madison Central and was involved in all kinds of coaching, football, track and field, and then girls basketball. And I think while he was coaching, he was running on the side, and he competed in several state races. They used to have an outfit here in a town called the Haggard Hobblers, and Frankie was part of that. And but health has kind of caught up with him. He will be able to attend our banquet, but he doesn't run anymore. But he's quite a unique individual, and we're happy that Frankie's going in.
Yeah. Switching back over to football, Eddie Simmons, a two-time All-State player at Central, and went on to play at the University of Kentucky, wide receiver.
Yeah, Eddie is someone I wasn't very familiar with. John Lovell, of course, the historian for the group, and actually Madison County had all kinds of statistics about Eddie, but he called him maybe one of the most talented and decorated athletes that have come out of there. That's quite a statement.
Mm-hmm.
But he was All-State a couple of years in football and basketball. Went to UK and played wide receiver for 4 years. And very, very talented. I'm anxious to meet him, and we're glad that Eddie's going in.
I think I may have said Madison Central, but it was Madison High. He went to
Madison
Madison High. I think I may have misspoken there. Sorry about that, Eddie. But going back to baseball, Brad Winkler, three-time All-State selection at Madison Central, went on to Mississippi State and was drafted by the New York Yankees.
Quite a player. Center fielder. I think most coaches want to be strong up the middle, catcher, pitcher, shortstop, and in the outfield, center field. And Brad started for 4 years for Mississippi State, and we all know what kind of program they had in the 80s with Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro. Brad's teams were just ahead of that group. But all SEC, had so many career records that stood for quite a while. Games played, hits, stolen bases. He was just an all-around good player. And at the end of his career in athletics, he stayed down in Mississippi, and he coached 4 high school teams to the state finals. So Brad will join us, and we're glad to see him again.
4 different teams to the finals?
Yeah,
wow.
I think it was.
Wow, that's pretty good. And we finish up and go way back to the 50s. Another great 3-sport athlete, Jerry Woolham, at Model Madison.
Yeah.
Or Madison Model, I guess it's called Madison Model back in those days. Went on to play quarterback at UK, of course.
Yeah, he was quite an athlete. I remember watching him as a youngster, and they had some excellent teams. Roy Kidd didn't coach Jerry, but he played at Madison High, and just outstanding quarterback, and went to UK and held some records. He was leading the SEC in passing his junior year, and he broke his leg and had to step out of football, but he still made third-team all-conference that year. And then he had a great senior year and held a lot of records. That was, of course, with the modern football, with throwing the ball all over the field, they've all been broken now. But Jerry will be coming back. He lives in Pineville now, and he'll be coming back.
It's good to see most of these folks are still alive. I know the first couple of classes, a lot of really old school folks went in, and those folks are not with us anymore. So it'll be good to see some people up there this year. But we do have some teams here as well, and you have to tell me a little bit more about the Berea Foundation High School boys and swimming and diving teams in 50, 53, and 54. So tell us what you found out about those teams.
Well, obviously they're very talented to win co-champions all 3 of those years. I remember as a youngster, I played sports for Model High School, and Berea Foundation was on our schedule every year. They played at the old Seabury Gym in basketball, and disbanded, I think, maybe in the early 70s. But they have a very talented group of young boys and girls. But the swimming and diving were their highlight teams.
Is that kind of the precursor to Berea Community, I guess,
yes.
Down there?
The Berea Community also had a team. So
okay.
There are 7 teams. I go back a little bit to the basketball, but we had 7 teams in the district: Berea Foundation, Model, Madison Central from Richmond, then Irvin, and Estill County from Irvin. So you could get a good draw and maybe not have to play the first round, but it was tough to get out of here. Of course, with Madison High back then was good too. So we had 2 quality teams that you had to get by.
Yeah. And more swimming, and of course you go back to 69, 70, and 71. The Model Girls swimming and diving teams were 3-time state champions, Class 2A state champions, and that all started with Coach Lichty and the great program he had there.
Yes, Model has been known throughout the history of the school as, I think, a swimming and a soccer program more than any of the other sports, but certainly swimming's been their key sport, and Dan did a great job getting them get that program on the roll, and all through the 70s, early 80s, we had several teams that were nominated that one day might get in, but we decided there were 3 in a row, so we decided to put those 3 in this year. But outstanding swimming at Model.
Yep, has been for a long, long time. Well, that's this year's class. Tell me a little bit about who else is on the board with you, and kind of, I know, Jack Frost, who lives down in South Carolina, but he helps run the thing, and who else is on the board there?
But, speaking of Jack, he just had an honor this weekend personally. He was inducted into the Winthrop University Hall of Fame. He was sports information director for 27 years here, but he grew up in county and played at Madison Central in baseball, and got this whole outfit rolling, I guess.
It's his baby, I really think. I feel like it's his baby.
But we have John Lovell. John's our historian, has all kinds of pictures and stats that he brings to the group. Leanne Browder is our secretary, well, not secretary, our ticket girl. Donna Lovell, John's wife, is our secretary, and we have several outstanding members. Keith Taylor from Berea is involved, and trying to think of the other ones. Eugene Estel here in town. Eugene played at Madison High, and there's a couple more I've forgotten. We have
it's a big group of people.
We just added Beverly Desarn to the group. He's not been to a meeting I think next week we meet, and he'll be at his first meeting. But we've got 13 people that help us out, and we get the nominations. We actually take 2 meetings to go over them, so we want to be sure we're putting in the correct people. But we mentioned earlier that there's so many people that are on the list to go in, and they will go in. I know we'll get maybe a phone call or a letter. Why aren't they going in? But
give it time. Give it time.
That's right.
This organization is not going anywhere. So
we're tickled with this group. It seems like every year we wonder about it when we start out, but when you really look at who's going in, it's a good group, real good group.
Yeah. All right. Once again, May 17th at the Perkins Building. You can get your tickets, not yet, but later in March they'll go on sale. You can get them at the RACC or RAAC or through the website as well. But appreciate you coming over. And
thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Forward to working with you another year on helping to promote this. And it's the #1 story on the Richmond Register website right now, so that should tell you that people are interested in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've had a lot of phone calls already. I've seen people at the Eastern game Saturday. It must have snuck out somewhere, but they were saying good things about our group that was going in. So we're tickled with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate you watching, and like I said, you can catch. I can do all the social media stuff. The Richmond R Sports on Twitter and Register Sports on Facebook and RichmondRegister.com and all that good stuff. And what's your guys' website?
It's MCHSOF, Madison County Sports Hall of Fame.com.
All right, we'll go check it out.
And there are nomination forms where they can, if they don't like this year's group, they can nominate a player or coach or team of their choice. But we certainly do appreciate the nominations.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you again next time.